Pastors and leaders, in this video, I want to talk about reporting in your church or ministry. If you are a Pursue God Network ministry, which means you're just using the tools at PursueGOD.org to build disciple makers. You know, your mission is to help people to pursue God, help people to go full circle in their pursuit of God. If that's your goal, if that's your mission, well, it's really important that you measure the right things. And that's what these reports are all about. I encourage you to use two different types of reports, and I'll put links to these reports below. But this is a real simple way for you to assess whether you're winning on a regular basis. Now, you can use these reports monthly, you can use them quarterly, however you feel like it would be best in your particular ministry, but I encourage you to use these two reports or some version of them. Now, the first report we just call the Gateway Report. This is a report that measures big event attendance in your church or ministry, and I'll walk you through how we would do this for a church like my particular church. And then the second thing is it just measures some basic financial numbers, okay? So the first thing is attendance. On this particular report, you see that we measure our average monthly attendance at each of our campuses. We measure our kids' church attendance. We measure in our case, we measure our sixth grade class attendance because that's a class that we do regularly on Sunday mornings. And then we measure our youth group attendance, which is more of a midweek thing. And then I've got a couple of other slots for us to measure just any special events that we try to pull off that month or that quarter. Gateway events are important, they're valuable, they're necessary. But remember, they're not just a gateway into the next gateway event. They should be a gateway into a mentoring relationship or a small group, right? So that's what the second report will be all about. But this first report's important. Gather those gateway numbers. Those are good statistics. That's good data that you really want to know. But the second report is called the Mentor Report. And this, I believe, is the more important report. I think they're both very important, but if the goal of your church or ministry is to create full circle disciples, right? If the win of your ministry is to get more people going full circle, in other words, more people being mentors, then you want to, at least initially, at least with your staff members, make sure that you're measuring it because, again, we care about what we measure. And if we measure it, then we show that we care about it. And so in your ministry, start with this mentoring report with your staff members or your key leaders. Make sure that they're all filling it out monthly or quarterly. And let's take a look at what exactly they should be filling out. So the first thing there is, your personal lists, right? So it's the hit list, the active list, and the passive list. So on the hit list, you're including everyone that you are hoping to help. So people in your ministry or in your life that you're hoping to eventually to help one topic at a time through mentoring. The second list is what we call the active list. These are people that you're actively mentoring on a weekly or monthly basis using the topic at a time tools at PursueGOD.org. And the third list is what we call the passive list. And these are people that you have released now. You're not actively mentoring them anymore. Hopefully what you're doing is you have released them and they are actively mentoring other people, and so they have gone full circle. And so that passive list is important. Eventually you want that passive list to be filled up with people who now are out there helping other people pursue God. Now, we encourage you to assign a number to everyone on these three lists, okay? So you think about it in terms of where they stand in the pursuit of God. If they're a seeker, they haven't yet put their faith in Christ, write down 0. If they are a Truth One believer, someone who's prayed the prayer, they're Christians, but they're really struggling to honor God regularly in their life, write down 1. If they're honoring God in their life, but they're not yet mentoring someone, write down 2. And if there's someone who's gone full circle, they're actively mentoring other people, they're in the game, they're a part of the solution, they've really won, write down number 3. Obviously, the goal is you want people to move all the way to the 3, but on your 3 list, you should have every number represented. You should have some 0s, some 1s, some 2s, and preferably over time, some 3s on your list. Now, let me just say that if you're new at this, don't panic. You probably are going to have a really full hit list as you're thinking strategically about the people that you want to start mentoring. Maybe you don't have anyone on your active list yet. That's fine. Hopefully the next time you fill out the report, you'll have some people on your active list. Again, if you're totally new at this, you won't have anyone on your passive list at first. Don't sweat it. Don't worry about it. The whole point is we're starting to measure these things. We're starting to report on these things so that we can be accountable. You can be accountable to the person who's mentoring you. Now, the beauty of this particular report is you can start with your staff and your key leaders, make sure that they all fill it out. Again, monthly or quarterly, you can make that decision. But really over time, they can use that same report and give it to the people in their mentor tree so that you can capture this data, and more than anything, so that you can make sure that you're communicating to everyone how important this is. Everyone should get in the game. Everyone should take their responsibility to mentor people seriously. And the more you do this, then the more you'll have a culture of mentoring in your church or ministry. There are 4 more numbers that we like to capture every month or every quarter. Number 1, we like to capture the pipeline for each campus. The pipeline means people in their church that are ready to become a mentor. They've gone through mentor training. They know what it's all about. They're ready to be connected to someone institutionally. Your pipeline institutionally is important. If you have no mentors sort of waiting in the wings, men, women, students, couples who are ready to do couples mentoring, if you don't have those people in your pipeline, then really you don't have sort of the necessary infrastructure to connect newcomers into your church or ministry to people who are ready to help them out. And so build your pipeline up, and that's just a number, just an estimate for who is actually in your pipeline in your particular church or ministry or region or whatever. Now, the second number for us is handoffs made this period, so this month or this quarter. What that means is how many people in your church or ministry have you handed off institutionally? Now, again, this is an institutional number. That means in the context of what's happening at the gateway, the services, the kids' church, any events that we're doing, how many people have we actually taken from those gateway experiences and handed off to someone in the pipeline? Every period, every month, or every quarter, we want to make sure that we're capturing those numbers. Now, again, those numbers might be a little bit hard to get your head around. It might only be 1 or 2 or 3 in any given period, but it's important that you're holding each other accountable to that number, I think, because handoffs are important. If you're not making the connection from the gateway experiences, the gateway report, to the mentoring relationships, the mentoring report, then we're not leveraging our institutional situation for the relational mentoring situation. So anyway, that's what that handoff number represents. It's probably a small number, especially at first. Maybe it's even 0 for the first few reports. That's okay, but eventually you want to see that you're making those handoffs. Now, if you want to learn more about making handoffs and how to do it, I'll put some links below this video on that topic. Now, the next 2 numbers on our particular report are just families that are using the resources and then small groups that are using the resources. And so, again, for us, those are numbers that are important to us because we believe that that's a big part of the mentoring culture, is that you've got small groups, you've got families, and you've got individual mentoring relationships. Anyway, I'll include those 2 reports below this video so that you can download those, use them or customize them, make up your own versions of these reports, maybe put it into some kind of a database where you can get charts and graphs, be creative with it. But remember, the point is this: if you're not measuring these 2 things, gateway experiences and numbers, and then also mentoring experiences and numbers, then it's really hard to know if you're winning and if you're connecting the gateway to what the real true win is. So check that out and use the questions below to talk about this with your team and make sure that you're measuring the right stuff in your church or ministry.